You live in life on the edge, girl.
I know, right?
So you want me to cut all this out?
Yeah.
Maybe I should get back to my body, listening to it naturally. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Last time I was on my period, though, let's just turn it off.
Okay.
Oh, man.
Hello. So we sat down to film, and then we probably talked for like 2 hours.
We really did. Was it 2 hours?
I don't know. It was a while.
I didn't time it.
Story time. So now we're gonna talk about books.
Yay, books! These are our favoritist books of 2018. I'm Jessica.
I'm Christina.
And you're watching
Game of Tomes. Okay. Wow.
We can do this.
That was a lot, though.
I know. Uh-huh.
I love hanging out with you. I like talking like this.
Me too. Let's film.
Okay. Okay. So I do have an order to my top 3.
Okay. Oh, I didn't put mine in order. We're going to talk about our 3 most favorite ones in detail, and let's get started.
Okay. So my number 1 all-time favorite, because I didn't intend for this to...
You don't want to lead up to your favorite?
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll do that. I mean,
do
like,
what you want.
You're gonna know what it is.
Okay.
Hands down. I will do that. I'll start with my 3rd favorite.
Do that.
I didn't intend for this to, like, be a list, but, like, looking at it, I'm like, oh, yeah, clearly there's, like, a hierarchy here.
Okay.
So the 3rd one I had to think about a little bit, because my first 2 were, like, easy. But then I had a hard choice with the 3rd. But I picked The Complete Mouse by Art Spiegelman.
So good.
So Art Spiegelman drew this himself and wrote it about his father's experience in the Holocaust. And
in Auschwitz, right?
yes, and it was kind of like a cathartic way, I think, for them to talk about this. And the Jewish people are mice, and the Nazis are cats. So there's a little bit of, you know, I don't know.
Surrealism, maybe?
Yeah.
Okay.
But it was really, really good.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Yeah.
And I do feel like this is one that's going to stick with me for a long time. And I would reread it right now.
Yeah.
You know? And it's just, we read it in early 2018, I believe.
Yeah.
And it's just...
We read it for book club, too.
Yeah.
And it was a really great discussion, I
yeah,
think.
it was. It really was. So, if you haven't read it, highly recommend it.
Yeah, me too.
For sure.
I'm having a hard time getting into the
film aspect of it after we talked for so long.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't have this book with me because I read it on my Nook, but one of my favorite books of this year has got to be The Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss, which is about this man who tells the story of his childhood and how he became one of the greatest wizards of his age, era.
Cool.
Yes. A lot of people, that's another thing, is how to pronounce it.
Yeah.
I said Quoth for the longest time, and then I heard Patrick Rothfuss say it, and he does the K and the V at the same time. It's Quoth.
Oh, that's confusing.
It's hard to say. Quoth. Quoth.
Quoth.
Quoth.
I can't. All right, I can't say that. Quoth.
Right. And some people say Kavoth, which I don't like that.
No, I don't like that either.
Kavoth. It's too much.
Yeah. Too much.
It's too much.
Stop it, you guys.
This young man, he becomes an orphan. His family is in this traveling troupe of players, and then he has to spend all this time on the street, and then he goes to a magical school. Like, it's more like a college.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed reading about his time there and everything. It was just so masterfully done and so engaging, and it's one of those where you're just in it when you read it, you know? And I feel like it's a bit divided as to people either love it or hate it, and I'm definitely in the I love it camp. I totally get it, and I love it, and I'm excited to read the next one, which I own. I'm going to read it in April, and Leanne's Lit and I were talking about reading it
Ooh,
together.
awesome.
So if you want to join in on that.
Possibly.
Okay. Anyway, read that book, and if you love it and you let me, I want to know about the second book. I've heard, no, don't tell me, never mind. My mom said she just finished it and said it was really repetitive, and then she was mad that the third book isn't out.
Oh, yeah, that's always a bummer, but you can make your own decisions.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna read it.
What is it called?
The Wise Man's Fear.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And there's a novella too.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
It just splashed at me, and it's a tiny hole.
So my second favorite of the year is The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid.
I love
and
it so much.
Guys, so Seven Husbands is about this reporter who is going to talk to this famous Hollywood star who is in her 70s, I believe.
Sure.
And she's elderly now, but she's going to go and finally do an interview about her life. And so you basically are in the present, but you also find out about her, how she came into Hollywood and came to be.
You really get thrown back into the 1950s.
Yeah, and it is all about her life.
Yeah, and her 7 husbands.
And her 7 husbands.
And that were very public.
Yes.
But there's a lot of things that people don't know about.
Yeah, and so she finally does a tell-all that she's never done before.
Yeah.
And you kind of find out why she picked this specific journalist as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I heard about it from Jessica.
Yes.
And we listened to it on Audible, which is
like,
very
you need to
good.
listen to this.
Yeah, and when
the
I
audiobook's
read
great.
the synopsis, I was like, no.
Mm-hmm.
I have no interest in that whatsoever.
I thought it sounded great.
But you guys, it was so good.
Yeah.
And I know everyone raves about this, but like,
it's deserved.
Yes, it lives up to the hype. It is so good.
Mm-hmm.
So good.
Mm-hmm.
And
So good.
Emotionally, it's just like, I think we have a review and discussion on it, actually.
We do indeed.
Yeah, we will link that if you
wanna
were
discuss
interested.
it. Yeah.
So good. I don't know what else I can say about it. So good.
I got you. For those of you who enjoy celebrity memoirs, I would like to recommend to you Where Am I Now by Mara Wilson, who played Matilda in Matilda. She talks about, in this book, her relationship with Robin Williams and how sad she was when he passed.
Yeah.
And it made me cry. And also, at the same time, gave us some insight into her life and her mental illness. She had OCD that was brought on, by anxiety, that came to fruition because of things that were going on in her life. But also she's just really smart, and I found myself laughing out loud too. And she read it. I listened to it on Audible, and she did an excellent job reading it too. And talked about how when she was like the cute kid, and then as she grew up, she wasn't cute anymore, and she wasn't like the pretty one.
Yeah. I feel like that's kind of a
thing.
I feel, with Hollywood child look at Macaulay Culkin.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a great example. As a kid, he was like in everything because he's the cute kid.
Yeah.
And then as he got older, it was like, oh, no. And then like that really went downhill for him for a while.
And
I think he's okay now though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It took him a while, but he's back around.
Yeah.
And I think Mara did some like theater and stuff too.
Yeah.
But it's a really good one. It's one that I would listen to again also.
Cool.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll check that out.
I have it on my Audible if you want to listen.
Oh yeah. I've seen Matilda and stuff, but
I loved that movie so much.
Yeah.
It was one of my favorites. I've seen it so many times.
See, I've just seen it a few times, so she's not someone that I was like I would gravitate towards reading a memoir about, but it does still sound good.
That's really the only thing that I know her from.
Yeah. I know she was in other stuff, but I don't know either.
I think even if you haven't seen that in a while or whatever, it would still be
I could still get, yeah. I feel like I could still get stuff from that book, you know.
And yeah.
Just because I'm not like a huge fan or anything like that. Yeah.
Your turn.
Okay.
Is it your third one? Your most favorite?
My most favorite.
Tell us.
Of the year
Yeah.
is Assassin's Apprentice by Robin Hobb.
Yay!
And I read this for book club, actually.
You did?
I did.
What?
That was the one where people had to pick a book for each other.
Oh.
And Wesley picked this for me.
Good.
And it ended up being one of my all-time favorites. So,
good job, Wesley.
this follows a little boy named Fitz, who is the bastard of a king-in-waiting, a prince, who is going to be king someday, and he's kind of abandoned on the doorstep of the castle. Like, here, he's yours, not my problem, by the mother's dad. And so...
His dad? No, grandpa.
Yeah, his grandpa.
I get it now.
Sorry, I guess I could have just said that. But he kind of learns to grow up in this castle, in this keep. And his dad ends up abdicating and moving away and saying, well, I can't take the throne now because of the scandal. So he never actually meets his dad. And so you just kind of follow his life and like him finding his place in the keep and in this family line, you know? And that's kind of all I want to say about it.
How are the fantasy elements?
It is very good. There's magic in this,
okay,
which is really good.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so there's a couple different magical elements. One is called the skill, where you can basically, it's like telekinesis with each other, but usually it's only passed down in the royal lineage. So he is, but like, can you do it? Can you not? I don't know. And there's another magic called the wit, which is telekinesis with animals, basically, but it is very frowned upon.
Oh.
Because it's like, it's not like bestiality, like people don't fall in love, but they bond and like you become part of that animal per se, you know, like your emotions and things like that, and so it's like hugely frowned upon.
Okay.
But I really, really love both of those magical elements in this because it just is like a really good dynamic because the skill is like up here and the wit is like down here. And so you just kind of, you know, learn about these things in his life and like what's going on with the royal line now that his dad has abdicated. And mostly you just follow him finding his place in this world.
Sounds so good.
And it's called Assassin's Apprentice, so like, draw your own conclusions, I guess. But it's really, really good.
I want to read it.
I love this so much. It just drew me in immediately.
Yeah.
And it's just like, this is why I love fantasy. And I haven't read a fantasy that has drew me in like this in a long time. But it's just like the writing style of Robin Hobb is like, hands down one of my all-time favorites.
Yeah.
And I can't exactly say what it is. It's just like, oh, I'm all for it. I'm there, you know? And
that's how I feel about Name of the Wind.
Yeah, it is so good. It's kind of like Name of the Wind a little bit because it's like Fitz writes about the Six Duchies, which is their kingdom in the beginning, and it's like him telling the history of the Six Duchies at the beginning of each chapter.
Okay.
And then in the chapter itself is him and his life. So it's, you know, a little bit like that.
I've seen so many videos about Robin Hobb and this series. Just like getting excited to read it.
Yeah.
And I'll get there eventually.
Yeah.
But listening to you talk about it has really, like, I felt my fantasy heart soar.
Yeah.
Because when I fall in love with a book, like, I just freaking love fantasy so much.
Yeah, I do too. And I feel like I'm so glad that you enjoy Name of the Wind so much because, like, that's how I feel about this.
Yeah.
It's, like, just there for me. And it just, everything felt original. It didn't feel like derivative of any other fantasy to me. And it's just, I'm currently reading the third one because I can't stop.
Yeah. I'm currently rereading A Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
And I'm just so in it right now. I love it.
I've been reading, like, nothing but fantasy lately.
Yeah.
And I'm here for it.
Yeah.
I'm loving it. All-time favorite. Hands down, Robin Hobb is so hyped. And she is totally worth the hype.
I'm excited.
Yeah. You're more than welcome to borrow it at any time.
I will. Not now, but yeah. This was not in order, so...
Mine totally was.
I know. I would like to talk to you about Flowers in the Attic by V.C. Andrews. I didn't know if I was going to like this or not. I went into it kind of just like, whatever. And it blew me away. It was so sad, but at the same time, really hopeful. And I saw a review before I read it, and I wish I could remember her name because we are friends with her. Anyway, she said she reads this when she's sad and it makes her happy. And it just fills her with hope. Because these children, they have to come together in order to overcome being locked away in an attic in their grandparents' mansion after this horrible tragedy has befallen their family. And it's so sad, but really hopeful, like I said. And I'm just so glad that I read it. And it's hard to put my feelings in order because it's so contradictory because of the sadness, but also the
because the
hopefulness.
subject matter is pretty heavy.
Yes.
And so it's hard to say, like, I love this so much!
When there's, like, the abusing of children.
Yeah.
And there's also, like, a rape scene.
Yikes.
And I don't know.
So it's hard to be like...
Well, no, I really did love it.
Yeah.
And that's all you need to know, really. I was surprised. I've heard about it, and I've heard it a lot in reference to the relationships in it. And I just wanted to see. And I'm so glad I did. I also read Petals on the Wind immediately afterwards because I just had to know how things went down afterwards. I didn't like it as much. It was, I did enjoy it, but it became very soap opera-y.
No.
And I think I might continue, but I know that it's not going to be as good as Flowers was, and you can read that one on its own.
Mm-hmm.
And it just leaves off in a poetic way, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just like, I can't say exactly without
spoiling it.
Mm-hmm. But also, it left me just wanting more.
Right.
But, yeah, the next one was just a kind of a bummer, too.
Womp womp.
Because they're dealing with that horrible tragedy, and so they can't let it go. Especially the main character. You're getting this through Kathy's eyes. She's one of the siblings, and she just has all of this hatred in her heart, you know. And confusion.
As one would, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, anyway, that was a favorite of mine in 2018.
Well, I always see at our local used bookstore, I see V.C. Andrews books all the time.
Really?
And I remember being younger, like in high school, going there, and she's kind of in that, like, thriller horror section.
Really?
Like with Stephen King and stuff.
Oh.
And I see a lot of her paperbacks there. I used to. And I always thought about trying one, but I never did. But I would definitely be interested in reading that since you enjoyed it so much.
Yeah, you can borrow it from me anytime.
I'm glad to know the subject matter is quite intense.
It's heavy.
So, yeah.
And I knew that it was, and so I didn't pick it up lightly.
Right.
You know, I knew that it was going to be that way, and I need to have, like, that feeling like, okay, time for something heavy.
Right, yeah.
And I just read it at the perfect time.
Yeah.
And I waited until I was, like...
Ready.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get you. I would have to do that as well,
Mm-hmm.
for sure. Okay. Those were our top 3 favorites.
Yes.
So we're going to do some honorable mentions, which are just our other 5-star reads of the year.
Yeah, and most of these are no lesser than the ones we just talked about. We just wanted to... because if we talked about every single one, this video would be so long.
Yeah, it would.
We've done that before.
Yeah.
Last year.
Yeah.
And we were like, let's just do a shorter one this time.
Yeah.
Okay, so the 5-star, all the books that I gave.
Do you want to... Did you count?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I gave 10 books, including 1 series.
Yo,
What,
me too! Including 1 series.
Yeah!
Guess what series that is?
That's Saga Volume 1 through 9.
Mine's 1 through 8. I still have yet to read the 9th one, even though Jessica lent me it, like, 3 weeks ago.
You should read it now.
I know, I will this weekend. But that's what I said last time.
Right, well. Okay, Flowers in the Attic, The Eyes of the Dragon by Stephen King, The Name of the Wind, Pride and Prejudice, The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, The Bluest Eye.
Ooh.
by
Toni Morrison.
Thank you. Kindred by Octavia Butler. Where Am I Now, Mara Wilson, and The Complete Mouse, which we've talked about. Okay.
And mine was Bitch Planet Volume 1 and Assassin's Apprentice, My Life with the Chimpanzees by Jane Goodall, The Hate You Give by Angie Thomas, The Seven Husbands, Dead Mountain the Untold, True Story of the Dyatlov Pass Incident by Donnie Icar.
I want to read that one.
Icar? I have no idea how to say his last name. The Power by Naomi Alderman, A Wrinkle in Time by Madeleine L'Engle,
Nice.
and Saga Volume 1 through 8, and The Complete Mouse.
Cool.
Yeah.
It was a really good reading year for the most part.
I feel like 10 5-star reads is pretty good.
And I think the reason why I had so many highly rated books is because I DNF'd the crap out of books this year.
Yeah, I DNF'd a lot as well.
And so if I'm just like in a book and I'm not liking it, I don't feel the pressure to read it anymore. I used to feel that.
Yeah.
And I love that BookTube has made me this way.
Yeah, me too. I used to never DNF books.
I know, and I remember when we first started BookTube, you labored over, what was it? Dean Koontz.
Oh my gosh, the false memory, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you were like, I hate this book so much, and you read it for so long because you just felt like you needed to read it.
I did, and it was like the last 50 pages I skimmed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that.
We don't do that to ourselves anymore.
No.
And
why?
I'm a happier person because of it.
I am too. So if you want to find out about our DNF books and our least favorite, check out our video for that.
We're gonna film that right now.
Yep. So this, we'll link it. I don't know what's coming out first, but
yeah,
it'll be out
sometime. Check us out.
Okay.
I'm Jessica.
I'm Christina.
That's the wrong thing. When you play the game of tomes,
you read or you die.
Come be our friends. Social media links in the description below.
And we hope you're reading a great book.
Bye.
Bye. You know, I listen to a lot of podcasts at work, and there's quite a few new ones I've started listening to. I don't remember what one it is, but they always say, thanks for listening. And I want to say, when you play the game of tomes, because you always say, thanks for watching when you play the game of tomes.
Yeah. That's fine.
Lost, what felt like it all in a game. Every man I've measured died to hurt me before I could ever feel safe.